dance story. This is Special K, and today we have Pallavi, the Pallavi on our show. Okay, Pallavi is a wonderful, wonderful being. Okay, I'm just waiting for her to join. Meanwhile, I'll also set up my podcast. Hi, Payal. So happy that you could be a part of this. Yay! Can't wait to do a session with you soon. Some connectivity issue. Yes, yeah. Hi. Welcome, Vandanam, and welcome to Special Game. We have everybody on our show. Yay! Everybody at home, clap your hands.
I love your energy.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Simple update to all our viewers. How we. I think it's very relatable our topic today. That how sometimes we just have to be vulnerable and be open with what is happening to us and tell. Okay. So just a couple of minutes. You all want to share?
No, I don't know what happened, but a few minutes before I was supposed to get on this live, for some reason I think I had an allergic reaction. I don't know whether it's something I ate or something like that. And I had like this redness and this itching. So I messaged Kartika and I was like, can you give me a few minutes? It's going to take a while. And I didn't know what was happening, and these things don't usually happen to me. So I could understand, but in a few minutes it subsided. So I'm fine now.
So you are a person who always have allergies, right? Like
Never.
so. What do you think this? Okay, let's do a psychoanalysis right now. Because right, the skin is a porous organ which can pick up our emotions.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe that's what happened. Yeah.
And
No, I
so
think
whatever
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
you were saying something, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know. I think it's just been a little bit like busy. So I think I don't know. I think I just needed more time this afternoon, and that's why this happened. I don't know, but this is just me speculating. I don't actually know if that's the case.
But anyway, yeah. So sometimes we have to listen to our body and inquire. When things happen, for some reason you just don't understand energetically why something is happening and something is not happening. So this is
Yeah.
something over a couple of some time, and immediately sometimes we may not have the answers, but eventually then you really start understanding, like that.
Yeah. I'm sure in a few days I'll look back at this and be like, oh, that's what was happening. But as of now, I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
How have you been? What's been going on with you?
I have been you see me a lot on Instagram, so I've been busy. I'm keeping myself busy, trying to stay afloat, trying to keep myself sane, and I think that is like one of the biggest challenge during this lockdown. So because although I have been taking a sabbatical for almost 2 years now, I think a lot of things kind of just been and accelerated. Whatever that I needed to see really surfaced very quick. And it was showing me in my face, like, hey, you know what? This is not something new. This is something that happened before this, and you thought you can mask it, or you can intellectualize it, you can undo it. But like when something, you have to sit with it and watch it and allow it to tell you and teach you. Because if you don't learn the lessons that you need to learn, right? Every time it's more louder, more.
It'll demand your attention more.
It definitely, so this lockdown has been a lot of that for me, a lot of confrontation with myself. But at the same time, in past, I've also had similar episodes of that. So what I would do is I would go into my shell when I'm confronting with myself. But this time I said, okay, fine, you do your work that you need to do on your as women, as breed of mothers, as as anything, right? So as much as your personal issue is going on, I think this thing is something that I'm very grateful for that. I have that energy to still continue to produce whatever I need to produce while working on myself. So that's my shift change.
No, but I think it may complete. No, but what I was saying is that I think it makes complete sense that you say that, because I think all of us on some level are trying to figure things out for ourselves. But I feel like going completely into that mode is good and it helps us grow. But I feel like also hanging on to the responsibilities and the roles that we play is also important, because it kind of helps balance things out a bit. I'm working on myself, but I also know I have like a responsibility towards society or a responsibility towards my clients or whatever else it is. And it also like helps us engage in different things. So I think that balance is also important, because otherwise it could, like, maybe we would be delving deeper inside ourselves when we may not be ready for it. I don't know. But I think it's, like you said, maybe these roles and responsibilities are helpful, even though we might see it as a hindrance in some way.
No, I think it's extremely crucial for the carving of what is it that we already are, So like how, I always use this analogy, how a sculptor has to really keep break, few things, and only it becomes a nice statue, So unless we go through this pain, I don't think there's, for me at least, my analogy, like I kind of happy for those who like just swing through life, without really having to feel as deeply of people. Like I think I relate to you because we are all deep feelers, and it's our personality, because when we're happy also we're like all over the place, right? That we don't need to change that. I think we just have to be authentically real to this is what I'm feeling right now. Hey, you know what? I'm happy and I'm going to be like jumping in joy, because that gives me what gives me pleasure and puts me at a state. And sometimes I don't even have the energy to get out of the bed, and it's okay. Allow me to feel that, and then when I can feel better, I will come out. So recognizing polarities is something. That's something I've been working on. Now,
but it's funny. One last thing, it's funny that you say like, oh, some people swing through life, because I think a lot of people think that about you. Because for the people who don't, for the people who don't know what's going on, or the people who don't know you too well, I mean, you are the laugh, sing, dance story, right? So that's what it is. And if you're not dealing with whatever you have to deal, and if you're on the lighter side, then that's who you are, and that's what you are.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So I was actually listening to this by Oprah and J-Lo. Okay. So J-Lo is this. I don't know if you listen to it. It's on one of the podcasts, right? So J-Lo is the J-Lo, right? Like everybody, and even she has things that she has to battle. She has had 3 failed marriages, and she's still working on herself. And there are days that she goes up into the mirror and still says, you know what, I'm not good enough sometimes. So she has to do her Louis K. Apparently, they are very good friends, and affirmations and all that helps her to work. But that didn't stop her from being J-Lo. She's still all this. All she has, right? So that is a great thing to me when I saw Lady Gaga speak very openly and vulnerable about how she be taking, help, mental health to stay afloat. But these people are like geniuses, okay? And I guess it's kind of it's a kind of a curse, maybe, that they are also not blessed with, a stable state of mind or something like that, where it's not as easy for some people to just deal with even small things. And it's not just sometimes it's neurochemical, it's more than that, right? And I want to talk about that. Yeah, so let's start with what do you think about vulnerability, Pallavi?
Well, I I was actually listening to your podcast the other day, and the podcast you had with Pooja Puneet. And I think she said something which was very relatable. She said that a lot of times people, some of the complaints people talk about are how in society they're not treated well, or they're not treated well by their partner or their parents or whoever it is, the people they share relationships with. And if everyone is having this problem, then maybe in some way there's something wrong in the way we function in relationships or as a larger society. And then I realize it's also because I've seen personally with my friends, with my family, all of that, that if we're not able to communicate openly about what we're going through internally, then we can't expect people on the other side who we're communicating with to just kind of read our minds and understand what's going on. The thing is, everyone has things going on an internal level. So for everyone to be considerate at all times may not be realistic, right? So what I found is that it really helps when you tell people what's going on with you. And on a larger societal level, if everyone is thinking, I'm having a hard time today and I'm dealing with so many things and I have it hard in life, but everyone else seems to be okay. And especially in a world with social media where, only the positives are highlighted and you don't know what the reality is in someone's life, So we tend to get carried away to think that we're the only ones that are going through some of this stuff. And we're not really meeting out kindness, and there aren't enough acts of kindness going around. There isn't enough generosity, there may not be enough kindness going around. And so when I kind of started to understand this is also around the same time when a lot of people were like, learning that I was in the field of mental health. And so people were coming and telling me about the things that they were undergoing in life, and some of the issues and all of that. And I realized everyone was telling me this because I was in the field of mental health. But on a larger level, people very close to them, sometimes even their parents, even their families, had no idea that this was what they were going through. So then I thought to myself, and I was like, wouldn't it be great if we were all just accepting of our weaknesses and our imperfection and our vulnerabilities? Because if we are going to continue being a society that keeps rewarding perfectionism and keeps rewarding competition, flawlessness, it's not very conducive to human growth. You're not going to feel safe enough to make mistakes, and we know that growth doesn't happen without making mistakes. So when I kind of just started to think about all of this, I was like, okay, I want to do something, even if it doesn't impact too many people. I want to do this for myself. And so I put out I made this like creative, and I put it out on Instagram on my page, and so many people reached out to me, and they were like, oh my god, this is a great project and we want to be featured. Can I be the photographer? I know somebody who would love this. I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time. So I was like, okay, maybe this is worth exploring. And the more I did these shoots, it helped me grow personally a lot. But I also realized how the people who were being the participants of the vulnerability project, they were receiving so much support. And after so many years of hiding what was going through because it was not societally acceptable, to be able to come out and talk about that, I think is very, very liberating for the person.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's like, I'm really enjoying this process now, and I'm glad a lot of people are relating to it, and just I don't know, learning from it, growing from it.
I read it now, and every time you come out with a new project, it lights me up to see that what, we're not all actually right, and I think to a great extent, to be able to relate to a lot of people with a lot of especially healers, is what I've noticed, would have gone through a lot of pain themselves. They will not see the darkness, right? They will not be able to see the other person through that. So they wanted to take this time to tell you thank you, for looking into yourself, looking through your darkness, showing up for yourself, doing the work that you need to do. I know it's not easy. I know that you put in a lot of effort. So thank you for doing that, because through the work that you do for yourself, you'll be happy not one, because you have so many people. We sure all the best for that.
Thank you so much, Karthika. I realized what you're saying when I started doing this. I knew it was going to be a lot of emotional work, and I was prepared. I was prepared for it to some extent. But then I realized for my last shoot that normally I try to put one out every month. And what I do is I usually I coordinate with the photographer, with the participant, all of that, and we get the shoot done. And then I transcribe, whatever the person has told me, and then I write it down, and it's a fairly straightforward process. But for the last phase of my vulnerability project, I realized that emotionally I got a little bit overwhelmed, and I realized that not because during the shoot I felt like I couldn't handle it anymore, but because it took me a really long time to actually come out with the story. And then I thought to myself that how come this time it's been like 2.5 months since I've put out a story, and I didn't even realize that. It was when I spoke to my sister, and she was like, "Oh, you're putting out another post. A lot of people who follow you now probably don't even know what the vulnerability project is." And I was a bit upset by that, because I was like, "Oh, what? It's really special and it's really amazing and I love it. So how can they not know?" But then I realized I had taken so long to process that, even though it wasn't my story. I had taken a lot of time to process that, and after doing that one shoot, I actually felt really sick. And then I couldn't cope with my academics and a bunch of other things. And that's when I think internally I just told myself that I didn't tell myself, I think I just understood that I needed to slow down. And then when that happened, I was like, there's no pressure. If you don't put it out for 2 months, it's all right. If you have to take that 1 month extra to make sure you can continue doing this in a sustainable way, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a journey, but it's been amazing.
I know that you've been working on yourself, because I kind of am connected to the same network where you do a lot of healing, right? So I know where you go to the conscious center there, and even about all that work which you really need to do. And I do think it's a very comfortable process. Like, not a lot of people can even allow themselves to do that. So doing that definitely requires a lot of energy, and I think you're doing a great job. And I know for sure, okay, you're going to be helping a lot. You're going to be helping so many people. So I'm wishing you so much luck. It's going to go, it's just going to impact. And even the beauty about this, right? It doesn't really have to impact a billion people. It impacts one person. It makes that lasting change in them. Like, I wanted to hear about when you talked about how this project you started was more for you than for the others. I completely relate to it, because I am doing this thing simply for that, right?
Yeah.
For me, because it is helping me keep afloat and deal with whatever that I need to do, and I just have to keep doing this, because this is the process for me right now, right? And from here is where I'm going to heal or figure out myself or discover myself, or the journey is going to unfold, right? So it's so rightly said when you say that it's more for you, and when we start helping the other person, healing happens for us, right?
And vice versa. If we heal ourselves, then people around us heal. Both ways.
True.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. Right. So what has been your biggest learning ever since you started this vulnerability project? Can you maybe share something?
My biggest learning, I think what I've realized through this process is that people don't need too much, right? Like often, like because I'm in the field of mental health, it's often like, um, oh, you know, you've studied mental health and you're a counselor or a therapist or whatever it is, and there are all these skills and there are all these theories you need to know and there are all these psychology books that you have to have read. And while that's important to have that knowledge, it's really being able to give people that unconditional space that is free of stigma, that is, just a space for people to be able to feel heard and supported. It doesn't take much more than that. Like, sure, for if you want to change thought patterns and you want to like turn your life around and all of that, that takes a lot of work. But a few months ago, I think it was maybe 6 months ago, I attended a course on suicide prevention. Okay, and when the organization, it's founded by this man called Nelson Moses, and he came in and he said he's going to take a course on I'm sorry, I just saw my sister's comment and I got distracted.
I do think so.
So cute, you guys. But yeah, so when he came in and he said this, everyone was like, oh, it's gonna be like so and so techniques and these rules to follow and this and that. But really, he was like, you just need to be able to listen to someone. You just need to be able to give someone your attention, your time, and your energy for them to feel like they are valued. And a lot of times with like the founder of this organization, actually, like his I think his brother had died by suicide, so he was saying that I wish I could have just been there for him. I'm not a psychologist, but I know I could have prevented it, because if I'm able to give someone my time, then that's what matters. And that, even though I have realized that, I'm not able to fully practice it. I do still have members, members of family and my friends who I wish I could give more time to. And that's something I'm working on. I'm actively working on it. But I think just having that learning that to just be there for someone is something that's so important and something that I think could literally save lives.
Okay, let's pick up on that. Okay, I want to just share something that's going through my mind right now. Right. Also, I think very recognize that you can't be everyone's healer, especially I think to a great extent if you're a person who are very deeply connected to that person, and if that person is going through very deep crisis, you have the energy or the strength to be that person for that person, because the energy is just so heavy. You can't because you love them so much and you can't take struggle so much. I think it's very important to set boundaries, saying that I recognize that you're going through this crisis, but hey, listen, whatever you're going through, I'm not able to help you right now, but hey, let me point you to a direction of people who can help you. And that person, whoever is going through that, I think have the intelligence that you can't just take too much in this person, and people doesn't have the knowledge or the ability to actually help me and seek professional help if I need to, and not just
Kartika, your voice is.
People around us.
I can hear you, but your voice is a bit like distant.
Muffled, is it? Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. I think it's necessary and it's very important to recognize that your family or even the people whom you love most times, they may not have the energy or even the ability to withhold that energy or the overwhelming situation that you're going through. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I can think of it from two perspectives. One is the perspective of the person who's trying to be there for someone, right? I think if it's a family member or if it's someone close that's going through something overwhelming, sometimes as a listener, or if you want to be there for that person, it can feel like it's getting too much. because we feel like we have to take on that responsibility. You know, if I'm, but if I was just like an acquaintance or a friend or even a therapist where I'm listening to you, but I don't take on the entire weight or that burden and that responsibility onto myself, only then is it possible, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times with a loved one, we feel the responsibility to just be like, this is my problem too, and I have to solve it.
And also, it is also our problem because it's our family problem, and that person who is suffering, eventually we suffer. I'm talking from my perspective, actually.
Right, but that's where boundaries come in, you know? Like, even with boundaries, there has to be a balance. You can't completely cut off, but nor can you say that everything you're going through is my problem too. Because if everything you're going through is my problem too, as a friend or something like that, then both the people are just going to get sucked into this vortex. You know, and it's right in saying that maybe as a temporary solution, to be able to be there for someone and to listen to them and all of that, but also for long-term, long-lasting change, if the person is going through something intense, then to be able to point them in the direction of help is helpful and is valuable.
I understand that. Now, I'm just going to ask you a little bit question. Okay? Now, if this person is like pulling you, okay, for me especially, okay. So I have people when they are going through it, it's not something new. Okay, it's been there since childhood. You go through these phases and you recognize that you have it. So you are just going through this cycle. So for me, it's come to a point that I don't want to have any conversation because I know I'm going to be with it. So I better not have conversation at all. So I built a boundary so strong around me.
Can you adjust your mic again?
I said, if you need to reach to me, you reach to me through someone. So there is a lot of heaviness within me, right? And it's something I want to work on, definitely, because I'm not able to have this relationship with the other person because of the fear of what may happen.
Yeah.
So this is something I wanted to ask you: what can a person like me do that?
Yeah. So I'm sure. I remember you said that you went for the conscious living sessions, right? So when I was the conscious living sessions So while I was interning at the center, I learned of something called the mother wound. Okay, it's that you have one mother wound, which is like the root or the central, like the root of whatever issues that you may have, and that causes issues in relationships, causes issues in your relationship with yourself, whatever, whether it's career, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whatever it is. Okay, so a lot of our insecurities, all of that, come from our mother wound, and our mother wound is usually something that is from when we have been hurt as children. Okay, and it's a pain that is very deep and we have experienced as children, and it runs so deep, and so getting rid of that is not very easy and requires a lot of work, right? So if we are able to put in enough effort and feel safe enough to be able to heal that mother wound, is when a lot of other insecurities and issues start to drop. Because if you have your mother wound and you have 5 other issues, or in most cases like 500 other issues that are stemming from your mother wound, and you're always trying to like fix all of these. I'll fix my relationship with my colleague, I'll fix my relationship with my husband or wife, with my mother, father, with my siblings, with my friends. It'll pop up in some other way because the root that is feeding it is still always there. But if you're able to just say, I'm going to heal my mother wound and all of this is going to take care of itself, if you're just working on this, which is actually the toughest part, and is the scariest and all of that, but if you're able to tap into that and we heal that, then all of the others automatically collapse.
Wow.
And for me, it's been that you need to have, like, in this process, you need to have someone who you can trust. So for me, that person was Dr. Sampurna. You know, for me to be able to spend many days on end trying to work on myself with Sampurna by my side, uh, just knowing that she has my back, you know. So I think to be able to find someone who will won't handhold you or pamper you or anything like that, but is just strong enough to be there for you. For me, I found that I actually was telling my sister the other day that if I hadn't, in the past year and a half, if I hadn't worked on the main mother wound, then I don't think this period of lockdown would have been pleasant for me at all. A lot of things would have cropped up, and I'm seeing that with a lot of people around me. Because with everyday life, we're so caught up with work, with academics, with family, with relationships, that your own issues, it's very easy to push it under the rug. But if you have a period of 41 days, or now maybe more, now 2 more weeks, if you have a period of over 50 days of self-isolation, of course those issues are going to crop up. And that's totally normal, you know. And now is the time when people are seeking a lot of mental health support. Because a lot of those things that have been pushed under the rug are now surfacing back up.
Wow, very powerful. When you shared about motherhood, is there such thing as fatherhood? Is there such thing like that?
I mean, motherhood is just a name that's given to it, but it can be from anyone, not from your mother. Motherhood is just because it like stems from that main wound.
Oh, okay. So
But
motherhood not necessarily.
no, it can be from absolutely anyone. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, wow. Okay. No, I thought like these are passed down from like ancestry. Your mother had gone through that. She didn't finish that.
Yeah.
Get passed on to you, and so you will have to. So
no, that's also true. That's also true to some extent. I don't know too much about it, but I have read that there's something called generational trauma where, like, if your ancestors have kind of like lived through a genocide or lived through something really traumatic, then on some that stress is passed down to you. But that's just one concept. Yeah, yeah.
So, wow, this nice discussion. I'm really like, wow, I think I'm learning a lot. So, for anyone who's online right now, who's watching this, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, Pallavi, please go ahead and type it down, Meanwhile,
Kartika, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Like, do you have anything to ask me? Meanwhile, I know people ask you questions.
I want to ask you about the laughing dance story. I want to ask you what your philosophy is and what the story behind that is.
I was hoping that the philosophy, yes, definitely I can share, because this came to me while me on a very intense deep sleep last basically, okay? So I was just looking at the sky and suddenly I had to say, love, sing, dance just came to me like, no, it's really So I just came trying to tell me something and I just had holded on to that for a long time. I even made a t-shirt and stuff. So as I was, when I came here, I always knew that I wanted to be the next Oprah. So I always very audaciously say this. That
I love it. I love it.
Right. So and the reason why I want to be that is because I kind of relate to Oprah in many ways, because how she being in that station, in that position, she can actually use her spotlight to shine light on so many people, and she can help so many people. So that is the real intention behind why I want to be there. So she's literally been there for so many people, not so many years, right? So that was deeply moved by, and
your voice is breaking up again.
Sorry. The last thing dance story is simply, I think, a very easy way to pick someone up from a very low place. When you're feeling really low or lost, right? When you start laughing, when you start dancing, when you start singing, you start all these happy moments. Alright, let's not give them a lot of yarn or lot of philosophy behind how you can actually
Yeah.
come at celebrity mode first. When you are not, because there are a lot of people like you and other people who are actually working on the need. If you want to be a space where, let's just forget that for a bit. Let's just go into celebration mode. Okay, and now let's focus on from here how we can expand, and now we can be of service to many more people. So that is the idea behind it. So I wanted to have a lot of space where people come and share their stories later after you finish the laughing dance. The story,
Your
you should
voice,
just.
your
I said
it's
after you
breaking a
finish
little
your
bit.
laughing dance. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like after you're done with your laughing and singing and dancing, now we have formed a community, right? And then we talk about stories. What is it that you're going through, So that is something that I have kind of envisioned, create a tribe. That we are all there for each other. So there's going to be healers and uh, painters and artists and authors and we have a lot of that's something that I'm envisioning and hoping to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah, I think that's very true because I don't know if you remember that at our retreat in Rishikesh, we were doing
Yeah.
yoga for many days, and we like went to the river, we were trekking, and we went to the city center, and we were doing all kinds of things. And then at one point, we were like, okay, we've had all this fun, and now let's sit down and just be vulnerable and talk about what's going on, like what's really going on.
That was really, really powerful, right? Like that is when all of us came together and all
Yeah.
of us that we actually was able to see each other and recognize
Yeah.
whatever they have gone. So
Yeah.
for that to
And
happen, a
that's
lot of
what, yeah, and that's what the vulnerability was, right?
correct,
That after
absolutely,
that happened, we were all able to connect at a much deeper level.
yeah. And if we were only going to go to a space to just share vulnerability, somehow the group will not come together. How are we going to identify? See, because we had yoga to tie this, and then that happened,
Yeah.
it was unfolding, right? So yeah, something like that, lovely thing. Yeah.
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 I think the
We
balance of the two.
definitely. Yes, and I think one of the most important and useful tools to even for anyone who's dealing with themselves alone, yoga is a brilliant, brilliant tool. And
Oh
I think we
yeah.
are so lucky to have found Rohini, man. She's
I
just
know, it's
brilliant.
crazy.
She's just brilliant, right? Big shout out to Rohini right now. Yeah. So tell me, have you been wanting to cook with such a great chef at your house? Have you been learning to cook?
Dude, don't ask me these things because sometimes I go to the kitchen and I'm like hoping to help and I'm hoping to learn, but I feel like things are just really complicated. So I baked twice.
Yeah.
And the second time, the first time was for one of her videos. Okay, so there was pressure, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna act like I'm doing all of this, but really she was doing a lot of it. She was doing all of it. And then the other day, I was craving. I wanted to eat brownies. Okay, so I was like, oh, I really want to eat brownies. She's like, yeah, okay, like we'll make it, but basically you make it because you want to eat it. So I was like, cool, fair enough. So then we made it. Yeah, it was a super easy recipe. It was really easy to make, and it was a lot of fun. And it turned out so yummy, and the texture was perfect. So
Yeah.
I was really really happy with those results. But other times, like when I go in the kitchen, I feel like it's very her relationship with food is amazing, but it's very complex. It's like she's making a sourdough, and part of me is like she's like feeding it, and then like we watched a movie the other day, and in the middle of the movie, she's like, I have to go feed my sourdough, and she has to like wake up and feed it, and it's like her baby, and then she'll be like, oh, it's grown this much, and I'm like, I don't, as beautiful as it is,
I'm not able to
I
connect
don't
that
know.
deeply, Lama.
Yeah, not that deeply with food.
Yeah.
So,
I can
like,
eat it. No, the process and all I don't enjoy. I can just eat
yeah,
my
exactly. very thankful that I have her at home, and like she's cooking a lot of meals and we're eating together, and it's amazing. It's amazing that I'm able to eat really good food during this period.
Yeah.
But I just, yeah, it's nice, but like I don't have that relationship with food, and I wish I did. I wish I could be that connected to my food, and it's actually something that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to have a better relationship. Like I feel more connected to my food, like she does. But I don't think I'm very successful at it.
I relate to you because I don't know. I also don't have this happiness when I go into the kitchen. Something we so I guess everybody has their thing. But however, I think that there needs to come a time when we need to even look at it, like address it. Right now, I'm still on hold.
Yeah.
So that's any questions? Any questions? So let them ask.
People are just laughing at what I'm saying about the sourdough. But yeah.
So what next? What's going to be happening after you come out? Now you have published a couple of journals,
research.
Talk about that. Like what has been your experience with that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. So when I started research, it was I was in Pune during my undergraduation, and it was a really enjoyable process. I was researching something that I really loved, that I really wanted answers for. I also think that in the research community, in academia, I think with Indians, the practice of documentation isn't given as much importance. And I see this, like, even I discussed this with my sister as well. You know, where she says, even with Indian food, there's not enough documentation. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of knowledge that's coming out of, everything else. And okay, Payal, we'll get to your question in a bit. So there's a lot of documentation and all of that. I mean, there's a lack of documentation. So I think that going into research and making it specific to the Indian context was something that I found a lot of value in, because on a global level, at the global academia community level, if there isn't much representation of India, then there's room for biases, there's room for there's room for assumptions. So for me, research has always been very central to India and people and issues faced by Indian people. And of course, Indian people is a bit of a generalization, because there are so many. It's like we are like a little subcontinent, and there are so many little populations with so many different diverse experiences, food, culture, all of that. But for me, doing research on Indian population is really important, because to just add to the knowledge of the scientific community. I think maybe we should look at Payal's question, because
sorry, I didn't see the question. Is it difficult to find out the mother wound, and how do you figure it out? Yeah, let's take that, please.
Okay. I think it definitely takes some work. I think it wouldn't be the mother wound if it did take a lot of work. I feel like, so one of the activities we do at college is it's part of a therapy called CBT, where you say, I have a problem. Okay, maybe the problem is I don't know, I'm having an issue with a friend. Why am I you keep asking the question why, and you keep coming up with evidence. And once you get that evidence, you ask why again. So if I'm having an issue with my friend, why am I having an issue with my friend? Because she's doing this. Why is she doing this? Where is it coming from? So you keep peeling back the layers. And then you see, with a lot of your issues in various fields, it'll come down to either your insecurity or one of the ways that you have been hurt. Or one of the experiences that is still painful to think about or get over. And it's usually something that triggers you very easily and quite fast. So if somebody relating to my mother wound, if somebody says something, makes a comment which may seem, like a generic, not a very loaded statement, but for you it's a trigger, and you sit up and you react, it's important to be able to reflect on that and say, why did I react that way? What more is there to it? And if you keep asking the question why, and you keep digging deeper, you will finally come to something that's that usually is painful and has shaped your life in some way or the other. So yeah, or at least I'm sure there are other ways, but this is one of the processes, one of the ways that I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So do you feel like right now, while you're in the lockdown, do you already work with people who want to even to address things like this? Have you started working already, or you still?
So right now I'm in, like, I was working before this, and then I started my master's. So I took a break, like I stopped working. Now I'm in the middle of my 2 years at college, and so I feel like I have experience and all of that to guide people in their journey if they want me to. But it's not like I openly put myself out there and say that I'm open to therapy and whoever wants come and be my clients, because I'm not quite there yet. But if people do want my help, then I'm open to help.
Okay, so for those who help, I think I probably may reach out to you and ask
you, of course,
questions so that I am able to deal with some things, and as we heal, I think, like very rightly you say, as we heal, our environment heals, our children heals, and it's very important for me, especially the reason why I look at healing as a very important thing that healers should do, especially doctors. And they are healing other people, and you are passing on that energy, and you don't do this work, what is getting transferred is also so I think it's very important to do a lot of work.
I think it's also important because like when we study, they always say you have to be like a mirror. When you're someone's therapist or counselor, you have to be like a mirror. You can't be projecting your own biases, your own issues onto the person. And if you are to be a mirror, then you have to have done sufficient work on yourself to not let the other person's issues trigger you. Because if it triggers you, then you will point them in one direction, or you will help them in a way that you have been helped. Also, you just want to be there for a person in a way that they need best, not in a way that you think is appropriate. So to get rid of all of your own biases and your own material and be that mirror, to be able to work on yourself is a huge part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I really lots and lots of other reflections. Now, what are some of the things that we can do, all right, to work on ourselves and be vulnerably open and feel validated? Do you have some ideas for that? Yeah, reaching out to the vulnerability project is one, but like, are there any other ways that you could probably think of? Any creative ways?
I don't think there's a set answer to this. I think this is something that is extremely subjective, and it's also something that's extremely personal. Different people have different ways of doing it, but for me, again, everything that I'm saying is my opinion. It's not the be all and end all of it. From my experience, what I've seen is that looking inward is always the answer. The thing is, a lot of people also feel that it's not safe to look within, because for whatever reason, maybe they've seen someone else look within and it hasn't gone well, or they're scared to try and work out that mother wound, or they're scared to try and change from patterns, because if you've been doing something for many years, for 20 years or whatever, to come out of those patterns, it's new, it's uncomfortable, it requires a lot of effort. So I think a fair number of people may not be very comfortable looking within. But I think to be able to tell yourself that you are safe and you are safe enough to look within, and to be able to be there for yourself. And this is something that also came to mind when you said, I want to be like the next Chopra and I want to be able to help everyone. That's really noble and that's really amazing and that's really great. But I think we're only able to be there for someone else as much as we're able to be there for ourselves. You know? So I think being able to tap into that inner child, being able to trust yourself when yourself says, I want to take a walk and I want to be, okay, maybe we can't take a walk right now, but if we say, I want to be out in the sunshine or I need water, you'd be surprised how many of us suppress those very natural needs as adults. We're not taught to tune into our own needs. You know, if I'm hungry now, I won't eat because I'm trying to lose weight. If I'm thirsty now, I won't drink water because I'm too busy on the phone or doing something else. We're way too accustomed to not listening to ourselves. And I think for us to be able to grow, to be able to heal, to be able to do anything that even remotely helps someone else, we need to be able to help ourselves. You know, and so I think that's, in my experience, that is what makes more sense, and is also the most authentic way to do it.
So for those who have not read Louis Hay and Keep Yourself, right, I think you could have definitely worked on it a lot. Maybe you can share a little bit from there, like how.
Yeah. So a lot of this philosophy is about the connection between your mind and your body, which is something that has been you know, in discussion for literally centuries. But this school of thought that Kartika is talking about is basically how everything is mental. You know, at the beginning of this session, we also spoke about why I had that allergic reaction. I'm sure it had something to do with my emotions. It had something to do with the way I was feeling. But it's basically about how any physical illness or even mental illness is all a manifestation of what is going on internally. If something comes up and we're not able to process it and deal with it in a healthy manner, it's going to demand our attention by manifesting in different ways, like a physical illness, because that is often what is most overt.
Right? Like you immediately address it.
Yeah, it's like something tangible, right? If I have like a growth on my arm or something, I'm going to be like, oh, I have this and it needs my attention. But if it's an insecurity or it's anger or it's sadness in our heads, we're not tuned enough, or we're not taught to kind of give it that attention and that space to process it. So I think, so that's the essence of what this. There's a lot more to it, but this is the essence of what the philosophy is.
What I really liked when I first read the book was that, like, when I went through the list of diseases and, you know, what is it, you know, I was like, hey, you so much. So, for those who have not read it yet, or just Google, you know, Louis Hay symptoms index or directory or something like that, and you will be quite mind blown.
Yeah, like, that's true.
Example, if you have files, you have suppressed anger or something like that, you can't let go, you know. So that's where things like that you apply with. So I was introduced to it by my mother, because a few years ago my mother got the book and then she had this table and she would keep referring to it. So if my dad was like, I have a headache or I have like something else, she'd refer to it and be like, oh, this is what's going on, this is how you cure it, this is the affirmation that you have to say. And it's like, what's going on? This is so weird. And obviously at the time I was like, this is all nuts and like I can't be bothered. But if I think more recently when I read a little bit of her work, and when I've also like been at the Ratna Center with Dr. Sampurna, and I kind of just really started to understand that even in my own personal experiences, I started to understand how a lot of our mental worries manifest in our physical bodies. And I think to be able to grasp that is a little hard, but I think it's one of those concepts that once you grasp it, it helps tremendously. Yeah, 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 definitely. That's definitely something that I related to immediately when I picked up the book, and yeah, beautiful. Right, so
Yeah.
what wonderful, wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Of things, vulnerability being one of the topic. And there's just so much of beauty when you can actually allow yourself to be vulnerable, and as
Yeah.
well as when you feel you're not supported, you're not heard, you not being seen. I think if you are a person who's listening to this right now, okay, reach out to me, reach out to Pallavi. If you feel like there's no one to listen to you, more than me, I think speak to Pallavi at least because that's what we want to eventually create a space where
Yeah.
everyone feels validated and tell them that what we are there for them. So
Yeah.
wish you all the best in this
Yeah.
project. I know it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be having so many people. And I look forward to having a nice sit down meal once
Yeah.
this is over
Once this
between you,
ends. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let's do that.
Let's
And
definitely do that. I want to say thank you for calling me on this live. Thank you for having me on the Laugh Sing Dance story. Thank you for sharing your amazing energy with me. It was awesome.
thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot to Dance Story. We are signing out with Rajankar and
Pallavi. My title's Pallavi. See you. Bye,
I love you.
Kartika.